Welcome back to TEYARA SMP, a TNP Limitless 7 series, and today is the big day. We are finally naming our boat, and we are actually starting at the end just to get the surprise out of the way. So, with a drum roll, please. Ta-da! That's right, the boat's name is Fields of Gold. On episode 19, I received a suggestion for a couple of different Sting songs because I made a Sting reference in that video, and you can go ahead and check that out if you like, but if you don't, I basically molded over and I thought, I kind of do like the idea of using a Sting reference, and because of the particular biome that we're in, where we just have all of this barley all around everywhere, it seemed kind of fitting, and that is one of Sting's songs, As We Walked in Fields of Gold. And I can't really sing more? I can't really sing more, lest copyright become a problem, but that is the song that we are referencing here, and it wouldn't be much of a video if that was it, so let us hop back in time to Clip Studio Paint to go over the creative process involved in getting to this point. I have taken a look at several fonts online for the thing that I generally want to go for aesthetically, and first we need to make a new canvas, and the thing is, this is going to be real small because we are dealing with, what did I say, 6 by 16 is going to be 60 plus 36, that is 96, and we have a height of 16 pixels, so we're dealing with a very small image here. Very, very small. And we're just going to go ahead and zoom on in. Now, the thing we want to do first is we want to pick a color that is similar to mangrove. So I'm going to go ahead and open a browser. I'm going to open a browser on my other screen. Okay, then I'm going to search up mangrove planks, because actually, hold on, we want mangrove stripped mangrove log. And the thing is, we just want to get close to the color as the background. We don't actually need like the repeated texture because I'm not too fussed about it. But what this is going to do is help me determine if the colors that I want to use for the actual design is going to work correctly. And if I remember right, I should be able to go into my color picker here. And if I click this, I can pick screen color. So I'm just going to go to my other side of the screen. And this is just one of the many pixel colors that is used in the stripped mangrove. But we're going to make that our background, just to make sure what we're about to do looks decent. And so I think the thing is, we are going to go with text, and we want kind of a gold color, because in fact, I think I'm probably going to use gold, if not one of the metals that we have access to. And the thing is, I think I'm also potentially going to use yellow terracotta bits. Maybe. I'm going to have to take a look at this in JEI just to make sure the textures actually work out, but we have that. We are going to reduce the font size probably to, let's try 12, just as a guess. And for the font, I took a look online for a whole bunch of script-based fonts, and I made sure that these are free for commercial use, which technically speaking this video could be if I ever get monetized. So I am above board if I use, I think it was Yellowtail. And so if I do this, 12 is too big. Let's try 8, maybe? Maybe that's closer. So, the name of the boat is going to be Fields... Oh, that's too small. Of Gold. See, I generally like the look of this, but the problem is with pixel fonts, or when you get down to this size font or whatever, is that we lose detail. Okay, that's not terrible. That's not terrible. I might be able to make that work. Let me see if we can just eke out just a little bit more. Can we do that? That might work. This almost works, I think. Can we distribute? Oh, 3 or more objects less layers to distribute. Oh, okay. That's annoying. Okay, so I'm gonna have to either eyeball this, or I'm going to have to... Okay, no, we've aligned... Okay, yeah, no, this is fine. So we have aligned it horizontally. And I think we really can't go bigger than that. So unfortunately, either this is just going to look the way it does, and I'm going to have to do a whole lot more work with the texturing in order to make this look like it does. Because this does actually look like it says Fields of Gold. It's just, it's a lot more fuzzy than I expected. And that's, again, kind of a problem with trying to do pixel art with fonts, especially on such a small scale. But it'll have to do. So I think we go with that. And I think if I just... First I need to unselect that. But then if I do this, we can just scooch it up. Probably right there is going to have to be good enough, I think. And then what we want to do is I want to put in another layer. I'm not terribly proficient at this software, despite the fact that I really like using it. We want to change the brush size down to 1 pixel, no anti-aliasing. We want it to be perfectly pixel-based, and then we want to kind of just go across the back like this. Oh, and I have just realized a flaw. So the thing that I have in mind for the design is that we want to have like sort of this border around the text. Just a little decorative thing. But I'm realizing that the shadows that I want to cast may potentially be outside of our canvas. And that's almost okay. Because we do have a little bit of room on either side, we can always turn the stairs that are in the build into chisels and bits. But that would be kind of annoying, because I'm not that good at chisels and bits. So I think really what I want to do is make that line shorter. So we want to do something like that. Then we want to align it horizontally. And I'm noticing we have a lot more space, like, on the left of Fields of Gold than on the right. Or at least visually, that's how it looks. So I may potentially shift left a little bit, the Fields of Gold specifically. And I think part of the thing is I really need to see... Okay, actually, I think I need to make the line shorter again. So we'll make that shorter. Sheesh. We'll go ahead and make that shorter. And then... What if we do just barely wider than the actual width? Then we center that again. The question is, do I move the border or do I move the text? And I think the answer is I move the text, because it's one of those things where I think computationally, like, it was technically centered, but visually it's not because of how fonts pad things. So I think we're going to do something one more to the right, and then I think we're also going to shift this like that. I think that will do, and I think this will look a little less out of place on the boat. Either that, or we've got a case where I'm doing like even center versus odd center. That's another possibility. But I think that looks better. I think that looks fine. And so then we want to duplicate this. We want to shift that down about there. Yeah, especially with the shade work that I think I'm going to do. But do I want that to be shaded? No, that's right. I actually want my border not to have the shading effect. So I think we can just put that there. And then we will go ahead and make another layer. And we want to... Where's my line? There's my line. We want to do something roughly about... No. We want to do something roughly about... Here? No. Here? No. That's the thing about art. Sometimes you just got to make mistakes and then keep trying again and again and again. And here's another case where I think we might have odd center versus even. Or maybe I just stop there. Yeah, okay, I think that makes sense. There. I think I want it there. And then we'll go ahead and duplicate this. And then we'll shift that over to... I'm going to create one more layer just so I can make sure that we've got the spacing correct. Okay, so we've got 3 there. And we've got 3 there. Okay, so that is correct on both sides there. And then what we want to do is switch to the pen, which I'm also going to switch down to size 1. And we've got the anti-aliasing there. And I think we just kind of want to try that. Nope, that's not the look that I want. So what if I do something like... I might potentially need to reduce the size a little bit and shift it over a little bit more. I think that might be the case. So let's see. If I do eraser like that, and I do that, can I just do boop? Can I just... Am I on the wrong layer for that? I'm on the wrong layer for that, because that's over here, right? Or, no, that's on this layer here. And then this is on this layer here. So we do that. We shift this one to the left a little bit. We shift this one to the right a little bit. And hopefully that gives us the ability to do something kind of not like that. Kind of like that. Except that's, Shaping. Shaping is not the best. I'm not the strongest at this. Maybe what we could do... See, the thing is, I'm trying to get, like, sort of an inverse circle here. Sort of a curve shape. And maybe the best way to do that is just to use the shaping tool. And we can do an ellipse. Brush size 1. Hard anti-aliasing. And I think if I go... Just hold shift down, we do get a circle there, but... Very ugly looking circle. And why is Control Z not working? Is that because... Oh, because I have to click again to end the circle. That makes sense. So, let's try instead. Let's go here, and then go all the way through. Man. Clip Studio Paint does not make circles the way... Oh, right, because this is an ellipse. Right. That's right, and you need to click again to make it that. Yes, okay. I'm gonna struggle a little bit with this until we finally get more progress on this part of the design, and then we'll come back, because I'm just so bad at curves. Like, I can do circles. I use a pixel circle tool to help me out when I do them in builds in Minecraft, and that works wonders. But CSP, I'm not so good at the circles, apparently. Now, after mentioning that pixel circle generator that I like to use, I realized I can totally use it to make an ellipsoid shape if I really want to as well. And then I tried out some different radii, and it ended up being that I wanted to make these outside edges just 1 pixel taller on the top and bottom. And then I also moved it in, and we just ended up having basically an inverse circle here. So the circle generator really helped me figure out the pixels that I wanted in this corner. It does look more like I was expecting it to. The one thing that I don't like is that this looks just a little square on the end here, but if we get rid of it, let me just demonstrate real quick. If we get rid of these, then it kind of just, it doesn't look right either. Like, it just looks like it terminates there. And the thing is, if we had like, I don't know, just like a fraction of a pixel to work with in here, then it might look slightly better. I've also enabled the grid, by the way. So we've got 4 divisions of 16. So you can see that we've got like the bigger squares and then the little squares within it. So this is going to be just a little easier to visualize what we need to do in Minecraft as well, in my opinion. So we are basically settled on this. A couple other things. So originally I wanted to do something with like almost a backdrop sort of shaded effect, but then when I did that, hold on, that isn't where it was, but it was, no, not that layer. So if we just kind of offset this a little bit like that, then unfortunately we kind of lose the text, or it just looks even muddier than it is already, and that's not great. Like, we can kind of offset it a little bit like this, and maybe that works. I'm not entirely sold on that. I might, export this version potentially and reference it if I decide that I have time to do more than just the text itself, but for now, it's probably just going to look like that, and that's fine. The last thing that I want to do is something that I think I should be able to do with the text, and what we want to do actually is grab this color, because we're going to do one last thing. We want this to not look like it's part of, like overlapping with the border. And so we're just going to do some nice little cleaning effect, which we can accomplish by doing like this. And then I think if we go into, maybe I already have the background color. Yes, I do. Edge color. This is what I want. So we want the edge color to be that. And if I do that, we get just a little bit of outlining around here. And the thing is, I think I want to expand that edge as well. So let's go ahead and expand the edge. Oh, is that? Oh, that's also changing the offset. That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. Okay, so I think instead what I'm going to do is just manually touch this up, because that doesn't look great. Hold on, let me just play with this a little bit. Actually, that's not terrible, and we might be able to play with some color gradient stuff. Maybe. I'll have to think about that as well. But this kind of gives the effect that I'm looking for, and we can play with that in Minecraft itself just a little bit more. Worst case scenario, I end up sort of manually deciding whether I want to use the absolute lightest color or the absolute darkest color. So like in here, we might just decide to cut out these pixels and just make that all the mahogany. Was it mahogany? No, mangrove. That's the one. So we might just make that all the mangrove, or we might actually try to find these color gradients like in the blocks that we have access to. So that's an option. And I think just looking at it in the upper right hand corner, the preview, that actually does look pretty dang good. So I think tentatively, this is what we're going to end up putting on the boat here. And if I have time tomorrow when I end up recording that, hopefully this is something like I'm expecting. And I want to get off of that so we can just have a last look at it. And actually, let me go ahead and zoom out just right in the center here. And also I'll go ahead and disable the grid again. Okay, that actually looks pretty respectable, I think. I may potentially, let's also try real quick, just shifting this one block down. I think that just might be perfect. I think that just might be perfect because we really aren't losing enough of the shading down here to really worry about that. And this looks a whole heck of a lot more centered vertically than it was before. So I think this actually looks really dang good. And I think this is what we're going to end up with. And just for consistency's sake, let me also move the hidden layers down 1 pixel. And I think that's it for today, but I'll hop back in with the actual chisels and bits when I can. So you can see we're back on the server. I've already done a little bit of work here, and basically what I did was I started by taking this netherite chisel, which we can do now, and I had it in plane mode, and I just used it to go 1/16th of a block in towards the center of the boat. So I basically just took a plane off these mangrove logs, and then we came through with some gold bits, which is what we're using for our paint, for lack of a better term. And I just sort of started working on the outline off camera. And I've also cut out these little bits where I think the script roughly goes through it, just as the stylistic part of how I think this should work. And so what we're going to do now is I've got my reference image up on the other screen, and we will probably, if I have the time and ability to do so, I will probably end up putting the reference image in the upper right-hand corner of the map there. And so you can just kind of follow along as I go over the pixels. We are just going to start going from left to right. And as we get to some of the later words, it might actually be easier for us to start with weird positions that you wouldn't expect. Like, we might end up doing gold from right to left, or we might end up doing of, starting with the F. Not entirely sure, but for now, we're just going to start with fields, and I really need to do something about all these squids. That's the one thing about trying to put a river in, is that now I have to deal with squids. So you can see that we've kind of got... Actually, hold on. Let me count again. Okay, so there's a bit more of a gap there than I expected. So the thing is, with Clip Studio Paint, I had a bit of shading going on, and that didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to. I wanted it to be just a little bit more of a clean partition, but instead, I think we're going to have to do something like this. We just give it 2 spacing up in here. And then I think there's another, let me just double count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I think there's only 1 space on this side. And so if we just get the general shape done, we may potentially come back at a later point in time and use some of these other bits that I've got for shading purposes. So you can see in addition to gold, we also have, I want to say this is brass. And then we've got dawnstone. Or is this bronze? I think the stuff from Create doesn't work, so I think this might actually be bronze, not brass. And then we've got dawnstone from embers, we've got raw gold ore, then we also have yellow concrete, yellow terracotta, and some ochrum, which is interesting because I'm pretty sure that's also from Create. Aha! One of the rare times I actually wanted it to be a thunderstorm. We can go ahead and clear the weather immediately. And just get right back to working on our fonts. So once we're done with this, I can come back through, and we've also got some stripped mangrove bits in here that we can just pop into the line mode or whatever and sort of extrude all the way through. But I need to do something about these squid. So if you guys have any ideas of a modded solution, I mean, I know there are vanilla ways to deal with this, but I would prefer modded if possible. It tends to look cleaner. Then please let me know in the comments below. But for now, let's just keep working on our script here. So if we come in 1 pixel there, I think, and then we do sort of a staircase looking thing here. And then this is going to be the part that's a little bit difficult because we do have some of the shading going on, and that's going to make it look more realistic if we were to able to factor that in. So let's see, beyond the staircase looking thing, I think I have 2 more coming out this way. I am definitely going to have to do some shading after we're done with this, but I don't quite have enough time to do that here, just because I still need to edit this. But that is more or less our F. It'll look better when we can get some shading in here as well, just to get that sort of blending going on. But I'm hoping that once we're done, this will at least be recognizable with what we're trying to do here. The next easiest place for me to use as a reference point is we have 2 shaded blocks here, and then we come over to here as sort of the tip of the eye, and then from there we want to go up 1, and this is where we'd have some shading going on, but then I think we kind of want something like this, just for now, just as a placeholder, and then, how do we want to do this? I think we go like this, and then we go like this, and then I need to do some counting here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's 6 more to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's the I into our lowercase e there. And then we skip 2 here on this line, I believe. So we do this, and this is where we would ideally have some shading going on, but instead I'm just going to put 1 in here, and then we're going to come up like this. And I think that's it for the E. We can also maybe put 1 in here. Yeah, as the start of the L. I think that looks really good. And then we also want to get the underline, I think it's called the ligature, but we want to connect that up to the next few letters as well. So let's go ahead and do that while we're thinking in straight lines and not curves. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if I'm counting correctly. Yeah, so in fact it is 5. 3, 4, 5. And I realize this isn't the most exciting bit, but if you're trying to do anything in Chisels and Bits, this kind of detail work is unfortunately part of the job. So I think we kind of come up like that a little bit. That is going to be part of our connection point. And we go like this, and then we kind of have to split. Let me just take a look here. We have sort of an L on top of that, I think. And then we kind of come up like this. And unfortunately, this is definitely going to require a lot of additional shading. So we're definitely going to have to come back later and touch this up. Especially right here, because this doesn't look 100% accurate. Actually, that's not too bad. Hold on. Let's just take a step back. And yeah, that kind of looks like FIEL. That's pretty awesome. All right. And I will say it definitely helps when you're doing anything with custom fonts, like just do it out in your favorite art program first, and then just go pixel by pixel. Like that might be the key to some good font detailing, in my opinion. I wouldn't exactly call myself the best of builders, but this isn't my first rodeo when it comes to fonts. Some of you may have been around for the 50-50-50 challenge, which in retrospect, oh man, I was like so, I don't know, excited, hopeful. And unfortunately, I just haven't really had the energy or ideas for what I should do now that I've actually hit bigger thresholds. Like, I'm over 1,000 subscribers now. That's pretty crazy. Let's see. So this is also going to require a lot of shading work, because right now this doesn't look particularly great. We're just gonna kind of eyeball what looks like it's gonna be the closest. Yeah, I think that's gonna have to do for now. So let's see, we've got that. I think we do like this, and then we kind of go 1 up. We do a diagonal here, then we go 2 up, and then we do 1 here. Yeah, okay, I mean, it still kind of looks like a D, it's just not as well defined. I think, again, coming back with the extra block details will help with that, but that's not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. So we then come across, we already have 1 down there, so we need 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 in addition to this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll kind of play that 5th one by ear, because the next thing is our S, and we just kind of go up like this, and then bam, bam. I think we skipped that one. We'll do this, and then this, And then we just kind of come across like something like that, maybe? Just for now? Yeah, that's not terrible. That's not terrible at all. So now we are moving on to the of. And I don't know where I want to start with this, so let's see. Just briefly checking the reference, I think I may have potentially counted wrong and this gap is incorrect, so let's go from the top, where I think I have actually counted accurately at least. So we're going to start from the top of the F, and then we're just going to come down like this. And yep, that's 1. So then we'll go like this, and then another 2, and then like this, and then another, This is where things get interesting. So we do need this, and we kind of have some blurring over this way. And in fact, I think we do add 1 here, just because of how I'm sort of doing the nearest neighbor in my head. So we do something like that, and then we come down to here, I think. And then this is where we dip below the line. Maybe that's 1 too low. Yeah, no, that is 1 too low. So there we go. We come to here. And then we go 1, 2. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah, I see what I'm seeing. Okay, so if I put 1 in here, then it would look more like the way I'm thinking? Or have I counted wrong? I have counted wrong, I think. Yes, because I put the 2 here. And then oh, no, yeah, okay. So then what I'm supposed to do is, after the 2, I think what I was intending to do, just in my brain, was something like this. So we've got something like that. Yeah. And then we go like that. And we have 2 here, which suggests I think I want another 1 here. And then after that, we go bam. And I think this is wrong. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think this is supposed to be 4, not 5. So I did count that wrong. Interesting, good to know. And that's kind of the thing. We are playing this a little bit by ear. So, like, if I get something wrong, I might have to touch it up later. That doesn't surprise me. The F sort of comes all the way down to there. So if I just connect it up like that, I think we're fine now. And I think for rounding purposes, we'll do this like that. And then connect up like this. Yeah, we'll do it like this for now, and then we'll have to fix it later. But that's okay. And now we can go ahead and do the F because, not the F, the O, because unless I've got this wrong, this is going to be an easy start for us. We can just go 2 up from here. And then, unfortunately, this is where we're going to need a lot of shading. So I think I'll just go like this. And conveniently, this is actually part of gold where the shade kind of matches what we want to be doing here. So I don't even really feel like I need to... Oop, hold on, we've got an ability squid over there, I think. Oh, an ability fish. So I don't know if I've talked about this, but whenever you see a mob that sort of glows like that, it will always drop an ability totem. At least in this particular mod pack. Back from the distraction, back to the O. So let's see. We've got that. We went up, and then I think we kind of want to do this. And then we come like this, and then we go straight down to 1 above the line. And then we come across 1. And then I think we kind of do something like this. And then we do something like this. And that is our of. I mean, yes, we do still need to do the shading. Absolutely. But that basically is the word of. There we go. And so, gold is going to be interesting. I don't know how I want to start this. I think maybe we start at the top, because I think I was better about counting, as evidenced by needing to alter down below. So I think we'll start up at the top of the G. And just to verify, I believe that's a 5 gap, which in our image is roughly correct. Yes. Some shading, of course, obviously. But that also means that we skip 1. And then we kind of come across here. I think we go 2, 3, maybe 4. I mean, this is where we start to get to, we need to worry about shading, but I think we kind of just do this for now. And on the other side, we want to come straight down, kind of do something like this, if I'm reading this correctly. And then we do an inverted staircase like that. And then we kind of just zigzag down a little bit here. Let me see how many layers that is. That is going to be 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3, and then we just have 1 down, so that's 1. That's 2, 3, and then 1 down. And then we kind of skip the corner. I mean, there's going to be some shading in there once we are able to do that, once we have some time, once I have the executive function to do that. And then we'll come down, boom, boom. Let me see. So we skipped that. We went 1, 2, 3. I kind of think we do almost like that. And then we come back up. So if I'm just doing things the way that I think I'm supposed to be doing things, then I can kind of come up here. And then we've got a massive mess in here where we sort of meet up with the rest of the G. So let's scoot back up to our inverted staircase there. We then can come down like this. And maybe even just 1 more there. Yep, so then we get into our little messy mess. That's fine. And we also kind of want to do, I think, sort of like a giant square there. And then if I'm reading this correctly, we kind of just do a 1, a 2, a 3, and then I think we kind of just do a that, and then maybe 1 underneath here. Yeah, so we kind of do something like that, and that does vaguely resemble the G in the image. Great, excellent, yes. We are going to skip over the O, because it's actually going to be easier for us to start with the L and the D, I think. And I think we'll start with the L, just because I believe the way that I've done this out is that this is kind of directly centered between the 2 bits that we've got there. And then we kind of want to make sort of a Tetris tetramino here. And then we do 1 this way, 1 this way, 1 this way. And so now we've got that sort of a layering going on. We kind of want to connect that here. Sort of close that loop off a little bit, and I think we make this into another square again. And then from that square, we do another tetramino, sort of a T shape there. And so this is the L. And it doesn't really connect up as much to the O as I thought it did, so that's probably fine. And then I think we kind of go down 1, and then just for curvature's sake, I think I'll skip the thing that's supposed to be here, and then kind of go here, and then, let's see, that's supposed to be 1, 2. Okay, so then we get into the D, which is kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. And I'll worry about doing the D after I've done the O, just because I think this is another case of it'll be easier for me to start in the upper right and then work our way back through. So for the O, we come out from our sort of reverse to Tramino thing that we had going on there. And we'll do this, we'll do this. There would be some shading up in here as well to make this look less pixelated, but for now, just going with our basic coloring going on here. We'll do this, and then kind of that, and then we go to the right. And then I think we kind of just go like this, and then like this, and that's our O, more or less. There is supposed to be some connection going on in here, but that's going to be handled by the shading when we get around to it. And then, so we have the L, hop over to the D, phrasing. We should maybe have more than just one thing here, but that's another shading type thing. So from the 1, just assuming that we'll count that as accurate, we then skip that one, we skip this one, and then I think I want to put it in here. Yes, so that is centered like I kind of intended. We'll go down and to the left like that. We'll go like this, and then we'll skip over to here where we'll go down 2. And then hop over to here, I think. And then this is where we start to get into sort of messy territory. So we'll do across like this so that we can get our hole in here. And then we kind of have just double checking things. Okay, so it actually needs to be one further over. So we kind of go like this, and we have a square here instead. So then we have our hole here. Then we need to come across so that we have another hole here. And then we can kind of just reverse to Tramino thingy there. Or, you know, a T to Tramino there. And then we have sort of a... There would normally be like a domino, or, you know, the ziggy-zaggy type to Tramino here. So I think I went one too far previously. I think we'll just do something like that. Actually, let's do it more like this, just for now. We can always, you know, take some creative liberties with the font here. It's not like we have to stick directly to it. And I think if we just kind of go like that, that is our D. So if we stand back, this looks so much better. I really need to figure out a way not to double jump when I'm hopping out of the water, but look, that already is looking pretty dang fantastic, at least from back here. So with a bit of shading, this will look even more defined, I think. But for now, we are just going to fill in everything with the mangrove bits, and this is still in the line shape. So when I go ahead and draw here, we want to make sure that we're facing this face, because otherwise we might get the side of the log instead with how textures work. And then we kind of just want to drag all the way back over to here, and then let go. And you can see that we now have a line all the way through the stuff that was empty before. And I think if I just do that for everything else, there might be a faster way to do this. If so, don't tell me. Oh, that is not what I wanted. So we now have an extra line for some reason. Can I... Is it possible to go... Oh, yes, it is. It is possible to do that. So where did this issue start? Over here. Yeah, there we are. So I don't know why that happened, but it did. So let's just go like this. Yeah, that turned out better. Maybe it's because I ended up jumping. We are kind of on weird terrain here. I'm just going to go ahead and sleep real quick. Also, while I'm at it, maybe we can change... So right now we're using drawn cube or drawn line. I might be able to do drawn wall instead, maybe? Or maybe I could do extrude, but I don't know. I think it's safer to do the line in general because I don't want to accidentally cover up all of this stuff. And with the line, at least, we could immediately see, oh, hey, we've got this line sticking out. Oh, yeah. And the other reason I don't just want to use extrude is because, again, we might get the side of the log as opposed to the actual thing that we want, like that. And by side of the log, I actually mean the face of the log, the end of the log, the bit that you normally see with this sort of thing. We just want the side of the log, the smooth bit, and not the ringy bit. And actually, just to save some time, we can kind of go back and forth, almost like we're painting, because we kind of are painting. But, theoretically, we are now done with what we are going to do for this particular episode, and if I just stand back again, now that we have it all on the face, oh yeah, that's looking pretty dang good. I think we might end up replacing some of this with the raw gold, just because you can see that we've clearly got the lines where the gold texture repeats. If you were to take a look at a block of gold, you know, there is the edge work on the lines there, but this is still pretty good for a first attempt, if I do say so myself. So that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, and click that bell to be notified. And as always, I'm looking forward to your feedback in the comments below. And with that, I will catch you on the flip side. Thanks for watching, everybody. In the upper left is the next video in the series, or a video you might like. In the lower left is the series playlist, and on the right is my icon by which you can subscribe. Thanks again for watching.